Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Block, and welcome to our Walk Safe Town Hall. So nice to have you all with us today. For many of you who don't know me, perhaps I could reintroduce myself, but I am a former anchor here at WGME TV. I had a nearly 40-year career on the anchor desk when I slipped on the ice. It was a rather devastating fall. It did cost me my career. And since then, I've tried to be as strong and vocal an advocate as I can to raise awareness about traumatic brain injury and how a simple fall can really dramatically change your life. So that's why we're here today. I'm sure some of you can relate to this story. So I want to invite you right off the bat to join in our chat and send us comments about where you're from or how this may resonate with you if you've had a friend or a relative, or even you've had a fall yourself and what kind of a difference it made in your life, because we know this is a very common injury and kind of a misunderstood one. Some of the people who do understand of what we're talking about, though, are joining me today. So I would like, first of all, to introduce you to our panel of guests who will be taking some questions from me and then from you as well. I'd like to begin with Sharon Giroux-Ponick. Sharon is also a survivor of a very challenging and dangerous fall. And so we're going to talk with her about her experience. Then we have the founder of the Portland Hearts of Pine, Gabe Hoffman-Johnson. We did a partnership with the Hearts of Pine this year that was really fun and I think resonated with a lot of people. And Gabe also has his personal story to share about kind of falling and how fast that can happen and what can happen to you. And then we have two of our MEMIC partners with us. And one of them is Rose Weiss. She is a MEMIC safety consultant. And of course, they try very hard to address prevention with falls. They are a workers' comp company, but they would like very much for everyone to stay safe and not have to deal with the aftermath of a fall. And also Sarah Archie, who is the MEMIC complex injury nurse case manager who helps people recover from these injuries, which are as common as every 6 seconds, someone will have a traumatic brain injury in this country. So happens a lot more than we possibly think. So thank you all for joining us. I'll get to you in just a minute. I do want to talk to you a little bit about my own story, my slip and fall. It was in January of 2019. I was coming to work. We had one of those warm-up sections of time in Maine where melted ice had been kind of prevalent, and then it had frozen overnight. I was going to work the next day. There was a light snow falling, and as I drove up my driveway, I realized that things were slippery underneath that snow. And when I got to the top, I had forgotten something I needed for work. So I decided to walk back down on my yard this time, hoping that snow would be a little squishier and more supportive. And I got almost to the end near my front porch when very suddenly my feet slipped out from under me and went up in the air. And what broke my fall was the back of my head. Not just once, it popped up just from the impact of the fall, landed again. And it's very difficult to remember what happened next, other than I uttered the words spontaneously, uh-oh, because I knew in my mind this was not good, because what I felt was something I'd never felt before. And that was the inside of my brain sloshing back and forth against my skull. It was really terrifying. And I wasn't sure at that time if I could walk. I was alone, stand up. Somehow, after a matter of time, I did convince my legs that they would work. I walked in, I sat down, I felt dizzy, a little disoriented, but I thought I was okay to go into work. I did that. I went on to anchor 3 shows under very bright lights. I had this fantastic career that meant so much to me. As I said, almost 40 years on the anchor desk. And you see some pictures there. And for those of you who haven't been in a TV studio, the lights are very, very bright and it's noisy. You have an earpiece. There's a throwback picture there. You have an earpiece in your ear where people are talking to you, giving you instructions. So you really need to be thinking. You often need to be walking and talking at the same time. And you need to be taking in the facts that you're reading. You need to be sometimes editing on the fly. It takes a lot of cognitive energy. And I found as the hours were slipping on that I was unable to do that. I could feel the lights becoming as bright as the sun. The noise was overwhelming. I was losing my balance, feeling nauseous. And so before the last show, the 7 o'clock show I was supposed to do, I called my husband and we went to the ER. I was diagnosed with a concussion. I thought that would be it. I went home and went to bed, asked if I could go back to work to anchor the 11, and the doctor said, not a good idea. So I did wake up the next day and felt as if I had been hit by a truck. I think I was in shock when this happened, and obviously I had pulled every muscle in my body trying to break my fall. I realized then things were a little more serious. The doctor had given me the name of a doctor to contact if I didn't get better. I was not better in a week, and in fact, that started a very, very long recovery, years-long recovery that still continues to this day. I did a lot of rehab, a lot of physical rehabilitation, a lot of speech therapy. I worked on my balance. I had to work on learning how to walk a straight line again. I had to hold on to the walls of my house to steady myself, to move around. It was very challenging and remains so to this day, although you can see there has been a lot of improvement, but it was a long haul. I'm very grateful to the people who worked with me. And after a year of intensive therapy, we all made the decision together that I would not be able to return to this job. My brain was just not recovering to the point where I could handle all the stressors and the executive function that's needed for this job. So I did have to step down from my career, but I'm very grateful to the team that continues to work with me to this day to get me, back to a place where I can navigate my life. And I'm very grateful for that. So that's kind of my story and why I really wanted to get involved with MEMIC. I will say this is toward just last year. I have had some amazing moments. I was invited by the Brain Injury Association of America to speak at the National Press Club, to MC one of their events, and I've worked with the Love Your Brain Foundation. I have given a number of speeches. These are all things I didn't think would be possible. They are very taxing. They are very trying. It is very hard on my brain and my body. They take a lot out of me. So it's not as if I can do this on a daily basis like I wish I could and sit back in the anchor desk. But I am grateful to have come this far. And so we started the State Safe program. And we were very excited when we received a letter last year from a woman who had seen the PSAs, and I'm going to read you a little bit about what her experience was. She wrote me a letter and she said, on December 10th, I slipped and fell and hit my head on snow-covered ice. I proceeded to drive to work. For the next month, fatigue, brain fog, and headaches consumed me, but I never related it to my fall. 1 month later, I saw your PSA during the 6 p.m. news. It profoundly resonated with me. I saw your PSA again, and I resolved to see a physician. I was diagnosed with a large brain bleed on the right side of my brain. My heart is full of gratitude for you. And I am full of gratitude that Sharon can join us, Sharon Giroux Connect. Sharon, thank you so much again for writing that letter and just letting us know. Our goal is if we can perhaps get one person to think about this injury and how it might impact them, we consider that a success, and you're one of these stories. But would you tell people just a little bit more about what happened to you and how you're doing now?
Well, thank you. And I'm very grateful to you as always. I was picking my car up after service, and it had snowed a little that morning. And because I was going to work, my hands were full of all of my work essentials and my purse. And I just took one step, and like you, my feet flew up from under me. I landed really horizontal with my head hitting the patch of ice. And I remember hearing my husband, who was behind me, just say, "Oh, dear God." And I laid there for a few minutes, but because I didn't pass out, because I didn't see stars, I really thought that I was okay. We sat in my car for a few minutes talking, and I didn't feel any bruise on the back of my head. So that was another reason why I thought I was okay, and just went to work. But I did have a headache all day, and days went by where I think a lot of the confusion I didn't recognize because I was not thinking clearly. And the doctor, who did an amazing job in my surgery, clearly said to me afterwards, if you do not have a bump where you hit your head, that very well means the injury is inside of your brain, not outside.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'll always remember.
Yes, yes. And so you saw the PSA, and there's your MRI of your brain bleed. You saw the PSA, and that is what triggered something into you, thinking that perhaps this was more than just a minor fall.
Yes, I started becoming more confused, and Friday night I saw you on the news and had no idea that's why you had to retire. And I promised my husband I would call my doctor Monday morning. And then when I saw your PSA again the very next night, I knew that it was a sign that I really needed to seek help, and promised my husband again I would go on Monday morning. But on Sunday, everything started unraveling where I knew I had to go to the emergency room that day.
Well, Sharon, we're so grateful to see you here. And I know, like me, you are still in recovery. For those of us, for many people who have concussions or falls on the ice to their head, they will recover in a short amount of time. For about 15% of us, that's not the case. So I'm very glad looking at those pictures before and after to see how happy you are. And while I know it's still a struggle, thank you so much for connecting with us and sharing your story. And I wish you nothing but success in the future, continued healing and recovery.
Likewise.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Sharon. Just to lighten things up a little bit, this year with the Walk Safe campaign, we decided to join with a new partner, and it's Portland's premier soccer league. Who doesn't love the Hearts of Pine? They are have been so wonderful for our community, but they also really step up to help in other areas. And so I'm going to show you, just in case you haven't seen it, a really fun PSA I worked on with some of the players from Hearts of Pine.
All right, Penguin Walk. Let's go. Winter's coming. Small steps. Arms out, head up. Look down, look up. There you go, guys. You got it. Learn more about how we can protect your team at MEMIC.com/walksafe. MEMIC is the official safety sponsor of the Portland Hearts of Pine.
MEMIC, keeping you safe this winter, one step at a time.
Oh boy, were they the best sports. What a wonderful group of guys. And I'd like to bring in Gabe Hoffman-Johnson, who is the founder of Hearts of Pine. First of all, that was so fun. I saved my little referee costume for Halloween, so it worked out perfectly. But thank you so much, first of all, for the partnership and your participation this year, Gabe. It meant a lot to us. It really did, because of what the team represents here.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think, it was an absolute pleasure on our side. And there's so much about who we are as a club that is trying to recognize the platform that we do have and find ways to use that to contribute back to the community. And this was a pretty special way to do it.
Yeah, well, it was so fun to see how willing they were to, do whatever they were asked of. But it's very difficult to get athletes who are trained to run fast toward the end, toward the goal, to slow down. And I think that's true often for all of us, is that we're in a hurry. Maybe we're not at the speed of, an athlete like that. But I know you, in your case, have experienced something similar to what we did, perhaps not with a head injury, but boy, it can get you fast if you're not paying attention on how you're walking.
Yeah, it totally can. And I'll just sort of call it too, just back to the sort of PSA, in that video, we have a player from Australia, from Sierra Leone, and from Trinidad and Tobago, who have all moved to Maine. And, even someone who grew up here, like myself, at times struggles to sort of slow down and, can have issues. I unfortunately was moving too quickly last winter, slipped and broke my ankle, and, had to have surgery a few days later. And, it can really knock you out. So, it's important not only for, for locals, but for people from away. So particularly helpful for our team when we're bringing all these, young men to Maine who have never experienced a winter before.
That's great. Well, I'm happy to give penguin classes anytime.
Yeah.
We just thought that was a good idea because they do seem to have it down how to walk on the ice. So, love that. I'm glad to hear you're recovering, but I know you love to ski and that took you out for the season. So it's amazing how something can impact your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to be resilient. You have to find other ways to to shift your life, and honestly too, I think to use, your story the way you have, and for, me in some small way, I think that that level of awareness and education is just really, really important. And what are the things that you can take away? And, I make sure to, my driveway doesn't have ice on it anymore, ever. It becomes, taking control of those outdoor spaces and, the things that I've learned. So, really grateful for the work that you're doing and to be, partners through the club.
Oh, thank you so much, Gabe. Yeah, and especially like in your case where you can't see the ice. So it's nice to be prepared ahead of time, know what the weather's going to be, and then just have that conscious walking. Okay, we can't let you go, though, without, first of all, thanking you for a fantastic season. Boy, what a lot of joy this team brought, and they should have won, but we're not bitter because we have another season to go. Anything you can tell us or give us a little hint of what's to come?
Yeah, no, excited for the next season. I think, very, very grateful for, what was just a remarkable inaugural year. I mean, the way that the Maine community, that the Portland community rallied around this team, super, super special. Obviously a little bit of a heartbreaker in the semifinal, and, but lots to look forward to. I think, want to continue to, use our platform for good and to bring people together and bring some excitement and represent Maine on a national stage. So, yeah, really excited to get going, and gonna be a big year for the Hearts.
Very excited to hear that. Listen, if you love the Hearts of Pine, let us know in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from or listening from. Let us know if anything similar, like what has happened to Gabe or Sharon or me, has happened to you. We'd love to hear from you, and we look forward to the upcoming season. Gabe, thanks so much. Is there a women's soccer team coming? Or
we do. Well, yeah, we have plans. I think we'll hear some more in a couple of weeks here about some of the plans around our intentions there. Hopefully by the summer of 2027, we'll have a women's team as well.
Exciting. All right. Well, wish you the best of luck and stay safe out there this winter.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now I'd like to bring in Rose West, safety consultant, and Sarah Archie, nurse case manager. We can start. Well, you're both up here, so we'll talk. Rose, what Rose does is kind of preventative work. And why is this so important to you and MEMIC, Rose?
Yeah, so I'm a safety consultant with MEMIC, and my job is really to help businesses prevent injuries that occur to their employees. And it's always been something, I'm very passionate about. Caring for people and trying to keep them healthy is what our focus is. And slips, trips, and falls affect hundreds of thousands of people across the nation each year. We see tens of thousands of injuries just for workers alone. And they can be anything from very minor injuries to broken ankles, fractures, as well as traumatic brain injuries. So it really varies and can be quite impactful.
And so do you help educate people about how to take steps to prevent that, to walk more slowly, more consciously, that type of thing?
Absolutely. It's things that anybody can do, being prepared, watching the forecast, checking for weather alerts, having all the appropriate gear and snow shovels, sand, salt, all of that, as well as good clothing. So your footwear should be have good traction, wear ice cleats. I personally own probably 3 or 4 different pairs of ice cleats, and I have a pair of shoes that always has ice cleats on them just in case I need to run outside for any reason. But as you were talking about earlier with, walking like a penguin, and the professionals with Hearts of Pine, they're very good at it, but it's really about staying focused, watching what you're doing, avoiding distraction, and taking your time. That's the biggest thing in the winter, is really just try not to rush, take your time. and stay steady.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rose. And then, of course, despite all of that great advice, which it is, accidents do happen. And Sarah, that's where you come in. And tell us your role at MEMIC in terms of helping people who have gone through these types of injuries.
Yeah, so I work with some of our most severe injuries at MEMIC. So I have people that have had like brain injuries on my list that I work with. Major slip and falls. So I help them work through the healthcare system and make sure they get the care that they need. I can be a resource and an advocate to make sure that everything goes smoothly with their treatment because it can take some time. They don't heal overnight. So, it can be a really, just like, it's, a long road to recovery. So I'm kind of there to walk them through that. So I work with people sometimes for several years. So
yes, absolutely. I still have a team, almost 7 years later, and it's really important in my life. So excellent to you for doing that. And as you know, you've seen one concussion, You cannot really predict the sort of evolution or what will happen after you fall. So what we just really are trying to help people focus on is to try to prevent those falls in the first place, because I'm sure you've seen some cases where it's been very limiting for people.
For sure. And they are all so different. I guess, that's so right. You've seen one. And it's hard because you can't really give people a timeline or what it's going to look like for them in the beginning. It's because it evolves, it changes, and it's a lot of hard work. And, some people, it might, be a couple of weeks and they're back to normal. And then some people it's, 7+ years, like you said. So, I think it's so important to treat people as individuals and really make sure they're getting what they need at each stage of their recovery.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining us and for the work that you do with MEMIC and for partnering with us once again on this Walk Safe program. I'd just like to wrap things up by saying a few things that I've learned living with a traumatic brain injury. And the first is acceptance. It's very difficult to accept what is the new you. Resilience, that's been mentioned, but it's very challenging sometimes, and especially with invisible injuries. But try to know that you have within you the strength and the resilience it takes to kind of move forward with your life. You do need to kind of navigate your limitations. That was a hard one for me, being such a hard-driven reporter all of my life. I've had to now kind of pick and choose what projects I can do, but I am so grateful to be doing any of them and to accept help and support, I guess, and keep trying to do the things you love, which is really why I am so grateful to be here with you today and to use some of my former skills, I hope still present skills, to raise awareness about this very important issue, walking safe. So please send in those comments. Love to hear from you and where you're listening from. You can find more information on MEMIC's homepage, on WGME's page. And if you are looking to find an agent, you can visit MEMIC.com/walksafe. And we have a lot of winter to go here yet in Maine. So everyone, thank you for joining us, and do walk safe. I'm Kim Block.